Hey, welcome everybody. My name is Dennis Brown. I want to thank you for joining my weekly Freight Broker Bootcamp live training. Today, we're going to talk about the concept of learning sales in as little as 18 minutes a day. Okay, so I'm going to share with you some research and some data and some theories and some strategies on how you may or may not, I'm not going to divulge it yet, be able to learn sales in as little as 18 minutes a day. All right. So let's talk about that. All right. We're going to talk about that. That's going to be the topic for today. But before we dive in, all right, do me a favor, hit me up in the chat box with the city and state you're logging in from. Try to give you some shout outs and kind of and then here's going to be the agenda. So I'm going to do the training, right? We're going to talk about this concept of learning sales in as little as 18 minutes a day. And then I'm going to do a free giveaway, right? Assuming we have time, which I think we will. And then we're going to do live Q&A. All right. As always, I do live Q&A at the end of these. You can ask questions about anything you hear today or anything related to becoming a freight broker or freight agent, sales, marketing, whatever, right? Whatever itch you have, I'll try to scratch it. And so that's what we're doing today. I'm excited you guys are here. Thank you so much. Let's jump into the comments real quick, do some shout outs, and we'll see where we're at. Cynthia Moore, welcome from Maryland. Leonard from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Iconic from Clearwater, Florida. Benny from Georgia. The trucking guy. Hey, what's up, man? Goldie Gill from Fresno, California. Harvey Roberts. Good morning, Harvey. I look forward to working with you, my friend, in the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. Courtney from Augusta, Georgia. Garo from Pasadena, California. Magical Family from Florida. Kevin Perry from Raleigh, North Carolina. Oh, boom. Uladzimir from Minsk, Belarus. Awesome. I love it. Corey from Billings, Montana. What do we got? Danielle from Sin City. Love it. Betty Jones from Raleigh, North Carolina. The trucking guy is now realizes that he's from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, or Fort Myers, Florida. I'm sorry. Katina from St. Louis, Missouri. Leah from Rogers, Arkansas. Oh, Arizona. AR? Yeah, AR is Arizona, right? AKARAZ. Oh, no, that's Arkansas. Okay, Rogers, Arkansas. I had a little bit of a synaptic misfire there. I'm sorry. Jerome from Gulfport, Mississippi. Blessed Logistics from Hagerstown, Maryland. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. I really appreciate it. Today's exciting because I've got a couple things I want to share with you. Again, we're going to talk about this concept of learning sales in as little as 18 minutes a day. Because here's the reality, guys. Sales is the skill that pays the bills. I don't care what you do if you're in the freight brokerage world. If you want to become successful as a freight broker, learning how to sell is a core skill. You have to learn how to sell, right? Now, some people believe that, it's in people, salespeople are born versus salespeople are made. My theory on that has changed over the years. We're going to talk a little bit about that. I don't want to dive in yet. We're letting some people get live. And then again, the agenda is simple. We're going to do the quick training. Then we're going to do a giveaway, maybe a Freightpreneur t-shirt, maybe some cash. The Freightpreneur t-shirt says, someone who solves problems you don't know you have in ways you can't understand. I've literally given away hundreds and hundreds of these over the years. And then we're going to do live Q&A at the end. So stick around to the end. If you're already a student of Freight Broker Bootcamp, or you're already a student of Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, or this is your first time, notice one thing. In order to get into this training, there was no credit card. And I didn't ask you to put a credit card in. This is a free, absolute free training. So we'll have people here who've been here for the first time. The price of admission is very simple. Listen up. You have to hit the like button. I don't care if you're on LinkedIn. I don't care if you're on YouTube. I don't care if you're on Facebook, wherever you're at, hit the like button right now. Click the like button. That's your price of admission. All right. And then share the stream. Let everybody know about this free training. It costs you absolutely nothing. I don't do a lot of paid advertising, very little paid advertising. And the only way that people find out about Freight Broker Bootcamp is through word of mouth and through organic social. So do me a favor, share the stream. I don't care if you share it on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or TikTok or wherever, share the stream. Let people know about these free trainings that I do every Monday at noon. So I'm going to grab a quick drink, have my dose of caffeine, and we're going to get off to the races here. As you can see, I had a bunch of notes, right? I come prepared. All right. So I've got a bunch of notes. And so I'm going to be referring to these because there's some data in here that you really need to kind of get a sense of. All right. All right. So today I'm going to share with you how freight brokers can learn how to sell in as little as 18 minutes a day. If that doesn't get your attention, click away because I'm not for you. All right. So let's start from the top. If you've ever heard of the book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, very popular, very well-known book, okay? Probably released in the last decade. And so that book that Gladwell wrote talks about what is called the 10,000 hour rule, all right? And the 10,000 hour rule says what it takes to master or truly be an expert in anything. That's the 10,000 hour rule, right? If you want to be in the top 1%, whether that be a concert pianist or a violinist or a master chess player, his theory and strategy in that book says that it takes 10,000 hours to become a master in anything, right? That's his theory. Now, since that book has come out, there has been a lot of debate around that concept of, does it take 10,000 hours? Because let's look at it, guys. 10,000 hours, if you worked at something, if you had to do 10,000 hours to become an expert and you divided that by, say, 4 or 5 hours a day, that's 2,000 days divided by 365. That's, wait, am I right? 10,000 hours divided by 5 hours a day divided by 365 means it take you 5.5 years at 5 hours a day to become an expert. So you'd have to play chess for 5.5 hours a day for 5 years in order to become an expert in chess or piano or whatever the case may be, or whatever the skill is, or whatever you're trying to become an expert in. So there's been a lot of debate about that, right? So there's another rule, there's another theory about learning and becoming an expert, and it's called the 100-hour rule. And the 100-hour rule says that for most disciplines, it only takes approximately 100 hours of active learning to be in the top 95% of people when it comes to that skill or discipline. Okay? So this is what's called the 100-hour rule. So if you practice piano for 18 minutes a day for a year, you'll be better than 95% of the people at playing the piano, right? So that's the concept. That's the difference between the 10,000 hour rule and the 100-hour rule. Now, I loved the Malcolm Gladwell book when it came out. I thought it was a great book, and I think there's a lot of value there. But as I think about it, and I look over my career, and I look at different types of skills, and I look at my students, right? Honestly, I'm leaning much more towards the 100-hour rule in order to become proficient and competent, particularly when it comes to sales. Because again, this is why we're here. We're talking about freight broker sales, how to get shippers, how to grow a 7-figure freight brokerage. So when I looked at this and I really dove deep, I truly believe that if you want to become better than 95% of the people out there at sales, if you take the right steps and you invest 100 hours. Now that 100 hours could be 18 minutes a day for a year, right? Or that 100 hours could be 3 hours a day for 33 days. That's still about 100 hours, right? So I want you to understand, first, what I want you to take from this is, number one, you can learn how to sell. It's possible to learn how to sell. Some people debate salespeople are born, salespeople are made. I've changed over the years. I used to think salespeople were born, but then I wasn't that guy and I learned how to sell. I was the worst salesperson they had ever hired. And I've seen many other people learn how to effectively sell. And so ultimately, I'm leaning towards that 100-hour rule. Now, again, you could do it 18 minutes a day. You could do it 3 hours a day. You could do it 5 hours a day. You can fold time and you can become competent and proficient in sales. And the fact is, you don't need to be an expert in sales in order to get shippers and build a highly profitable freight brokerage. Trust me, I've spoken to hundreds and hundreds of freight brokers and hundreds of freight agents over the years. And many of them have went on to build 6 and 7 and 8 figure businesses. And I promise you, they are not experts. Okay. They become proficient and they've become competent. Now I'm going to give you some keys. I'm going to give you some keys to this 100-hour rule. Number 1, you have to be consistent. Okay. Consistency. You hear this all the time. Consistency is the key. That's why that 18 minutes a day or 1 hour a day or 3 hours a day, it's a daily ritual. It's a daily practice. Okay. So consistency. It's not, hey, I do it today. And then 5 days from now, I do it again. And then 3 days later, I do it again. And then 7 days later, I do it again. That's not how it works. Consistent daily practice. Okay. That's number 1. Number 2, you have to be disciplined, right? It's discipline, right? That consistency requires discipline. And then number 3, it has to be active and deliberate. So you can't, bottom line is this, what it comes down to, you can't half-ass it, okay? You have to be active and deliberate. It has to be intentional, right? So if you're talking about sales, again, active, deliberate, and slightly, I love this term, slightly uncomfortable. It's that kind of practice that pushes you past your limits, right? So listen to that. Active, deliberate, and slightly uncomfortable. That's the kind of practice that you need to take in order to get pushed past your limits. I think that's really important to note, right? I want to pause on that for a second because I think it's really important that you hear that, all right? All right, so here's some things that when you're being active and deliberate, here's the thing. For sales, you have to learn the proper mindset, okay? You have to learn the proper mindset because fear is one of the biggest issues holding people back in sales. Number 2, you have to learn how to fill your sales funnel. You have to learn how to do cold emails and cold calling, and you have to learn how to use LinkedIn. And, you have to learn how to fill that sales funnel at the top with all your prospects so that some customers can fall out of the bottom. We've all seen that. You have to learn how to follow up without alienating or aggravating or pissing off your prospects, right? Bottom line, that's what you really need to do. You need to learn how to close the sale without feeling or sounding slimy like some used car salesman, right? You need to learn how to do customer development and retention, right? Because retention, having the advantage of freight brokerage is the lifetime value of a shipper. You do $100,000 a year for 10 years, that's $1 million client, okay? Lifetime value. And you have to learn how to leverage technology in order to enhance your sales efforts, right? So here's the cool part, guys. This is the greatest part about where we are today. You've probably heard about my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program, all right? Now, my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program, I opened about a week ago, and it is a 5-week Freight Broker Sales Coaching program where I teach you everything that you just heard. I take that piece of my brain that helped me to do over $200 million as a freight broker, and I transplant it into your head, and then I help you implement it in your business. All right. So that program opened last week. It's going to close at midnight tonight. Okay. Today is Monday. Midnight tonight, it is going to close out. That is going to be the last chance you will have to enroll in this program. I may not open it again for another 3 to 6 months. And when I do, the price is going to go up dramatically. Okay. I held the price this time. just, because I know we're coming into the holidays and all that. So I held the price. I didn't increase the price. So if you guys want to check out the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, here's all you got to do. Go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/FBSA. Okay. That will give you all the details on exactly what's involved with that program, how to get enrolled. It'll even gives you customer testimonials. It talks about all the different programs that we have, the payment plans, the different options, the self-paced, the live program, how to work directly with me coaching you. And so you can see all the details there at freightbrokerbootcamp.com/FBSA. All right. So listen, the whole concept here, the important takeaways here are this. Number one, it doesn't take 10,000 hours to become an expert in sales. What it takes is active, disciplined, and deliberate practice. And so that's where the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator comes in. I can teach you the framework of exactly what I did to do over $200 million. And then I can put that in your hands. And if you deploy it 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 hours a day, you can become better than 95% of the people out there at sales. You can become competent. You can become confident, and you will be able to build a 7-figure freight brokerage. But if you don't learn how to sell, if you don't learn that core skill, I don't care if you got your freight broker authority, and I don't care if you've got your freight broker bond, and I don't care if you know how to do rates, and I don't care if you know if you got your office set up, and I don't care how many carriers you know. You are not very likely to succeed without that core skill. And that's why I stress it's so important. So check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com/FBSA. That is my advanced sales training program where I take that piece of my brain, I share it with you for 5 weeks, and then I put you off on your way to build your own 7-figure business. If you are not ready for that and you're looking for more startup training, you're looking for the fundamentals, you're looking for, just to get off the ground, you can check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. That is my startup program. We've trained over 10,000 students through that, and we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. Listen, thank you guys for being here. Truly appreciate it. Make sure you hit the like button, comment, and share, and I'll see you next week on another Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. All right, so for those of you that want to stick around, hold tight. We're going to do a giveaway. And then we are going to go into Q&A. Hold your questions. It happens almost every single time. Invariably, somebody always types questions right now, and they're going to get lost in the feed. You got to understand, I'm streaming this on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn, and the comments go crazy, right? So I can't see the comments because they fly through so quickly. So I got a question for the audience right now. How many of you have taken the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator in the past, or are signed up to take the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator starting this week? Okay. How many of you have enrolled in the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator? Hit me up in the comments and let me know. I know there's a couple people that were talking about it earlier in the comments, but let me know. Have you enrolled in the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator? Let me know what you got. Talk to me here, and then talk to me, Goose. And then we will, and then we'll go from there. All right. So okay. Enrolled on the wait list. Mustafa, I've been sending texts out to the wait list for a week. How come you're not enrolled? I sent you the link, all the details, everything. It closes tonight at midnight. Okay. I've been sending texts out for a week. So go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/FBSA. It's going to close out at midnight tonight. It'd be the last chance you'll have an opportunity. This has all the details on my self-paced program, on my live program. I even have payment plans if you can't afford the one-time pay. Now, you can save a lot of money with the one-time pay, right? But ultimately, all the details are there. I'm all right. It's cool. So Corey's in FBSA. Who else? What do we got? Who else has done it? Cynthia took the FBSA program. Daniel's enrolled. David's enrolled. Wow, a lot of people. All right, so we got a lot of people that have already taken Freight Broker Sales Accelerator or are about to take it. Now the question is, how many of you that are in the audience right now listening, how serious are you about learning how to sell? How serious are you about learning how to get shippers? 1 to 10, right? Because if you're serious about it, you absolutely positively need to check out that program. Now, whether you can get enrolled, you can afford it, or you think I'm completely full of shit, you definitely need to check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com/FBSA. I can't stress that enough. We are going to close that out today at midnight. Okay. So today is Monday. It's a holiday. We're going to close it out today at midnight. So that's the best I can do. Harvey. Yep. Harvey signed up. Jerome took the program. All right, cool. So we got a bunch of people that have taken it and others that I'm sure are going to get enrolled. I'm really excited for this cohort, for this group of students. We've put over 600 people through that program. And just so you know, out of the 600 people we've put through that program, every person gets an exit survey, right? After they complete the program, after they go through the 5 weeks and they work with me for 5 weeks, they get an exit survey. And that survey asks them 1 to 10 to rate the program. I mean, that's basically what it does. 1 to 10, 1 being horrible, 10 being exactly what they were looking for and the best experience. And the average rating was a 9.2 out of 10. So I promise you, this program works. This program, I would have been happy with a 7, ecstatic with an 8, but we got a 9.2 out of 10. All right. So that tells you that's not me rating it. That's my students. That's the people who have went through the program. So if you're curious how to get shippers, this is a skill that you absolutely will need to learn to master. And your first step is to make sure you have the right information, because there's a lot of bad information out there on Google and on YouTube and on TikTok. Trust me, it drives me absolutely crazy when I see people who have no clue about sales pontificating about sales when they've never actually made any real money selling. Okay. So that's that. Let's do the giveaway. Yeah, if you need it, check it out. It's going to close tonight. You'll see the timer on the page. When you go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/FBSA, you're going to see the timer. Matter of fact, all right, what you guys want to do, I'm going to take a second here and do this, and then we're going to jump into the... Oh, no, we're not going to do that. Don't worry about it. Just go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/FBSA. All right, cool. All right, so free giveaway, Freightpreneur t-shirt. Let's do a Freightpreneur t-shirt. Actually, you know what? Let's do $100. $100 cash. I'm going to give away right now to one person. You can be anywhere in the world, but you have to have a PayPal account, because that's how I'm going to send you the money. Okay. So if you're interested in a free $100, a chance to win $100, I'm going to give away $100 to one person right now. Here's all you have to do. All right. What I want you to do is I want you to take out your smartphone. Okay. Take out your smartphone, Apple, Android, whatever it is, and go to either the Apple podcast app or the Spotify podcast app or Google, whatever podcast app that you listen to music or podcasts on. Okay. And I want you to do, for example, Apple, go to Apple, pull up the Freight Broker Bootcamp, just search Freight Broker Bootcamp, and you will see the Freight Broker Bootcamp audio experience podcast. It's a free podcast where I think I have over 100 free trainings on there. What I want you to do is rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Whatever platform that you listen, rate, review, and subscribe, and then come back into the comments and let me know that you rate, reviewed, and subscribed on Apple. But you have to let me know where. Rate, reviewed, subscribed on Spotify. Rate, reviewed, subscribed on Google. Wherever it is, you got to let me know where. And it's got it. The only way you're going to qualify is you have to say rate, reviewed, subscribed, Apple, or whatever platform. If you just say done or subscribed or Apple, you're not going to be included in the free giveaway of $100. I'm going to give $100 away to one person in the next 2 minutes. All you got to do is find the Freight Broker Bootcamp podcast on any podcast app, and then rate, review, subscribe, come back in, hit me up in the comments and let me know, and you'll be entered to win $100. Now, I don't know about you, but $100 is $100. I mean, that'll fill my gas tank for pretty much a week, right? I have an F-150 Ford, so it has a big tank, but ultimately $100 buy you and your wife a nice dinner, right? Go to the movies. You know, you can't bring the kids for $100, but you can definitely, you and your wife could do it, or husband. So do that, and then come back in the comments and let me know. Jerome, Spotify doesn't work for me, buddy. You got to say rate, reviewed, subscribed, Spotify. Sorry to be picky, but I was very specific, and that's what we have to do, because you got to remember, when the comments come flying through here, I don't, they're very disjointed. It's hard for me to find who that is, right? And to make sure everybody qualifies and that it's fair. So we've got Corey, who's rate, reviewed, subscribed on Spotify. We got Kevin, who's rate, reviewed, subscribed on Apple. Jerome is hopefully going to, follow the directions. Others, so right now you got a 1 out of 3 chance of winning $100. How many times today are you going to have a chance, a 1 out of 3 chance to win $100? Probably not very often, right? So I'm going to take about another minute. Go on, pull out your smartphone. Just so you know, Apple has rated the podcast as one of the top 100 entrepreneur podcasts in the world. Not just in the United States, in the world. Okay? We've been very, very blessed, right? So, and you got to understand, entrepreneur podcasts, there's tens of thousands of entrepreneur podcasts in the world, and we've been ranked in the top 100. All right. So, and some of that has to do with me. A lot of that has to do with you guys, because you're enjoying it. You're subscribing, you're rating, reviewing, you're coming back and listening to more. But I do 2 new free trainings every single week. It's audio-based training where you can listen while you're driving, where you're walking on the treadmill, where you're walking the dogs, whether you're sitting by the pool, whatever it is, you put the earbuds in, or you just hit play on your iPhone, and boom, you can listen to training. And again, it doesn't require your absolute full attention, but you can listen and absorb what's going on. It's hard sometimes to do YouTube, but podcast is one of my absolute favorite ways to listen and learn and enjoy new topics. So, rate, review, subscribe. All right. So, sup, y'all? I'm trying to find a way to get enrolled by midnight. Jay Ballard, do your best, my friend. I hope to see you on the inside. All right, cool. So here we go, guys. We're going to do the giveaway. You have 30 seconds, rate, review, subscribe, and then I'm going to give away $100. You have to have a PayPal account. I will then PayPal you the money in the next 24 to 48 hours once you get me your details for the PayPal. And then we're going to go into Q&A. So hold tight. Do not type your questions yet, because if you do, they're not going to get answered. They're going to get lost, okay? All right, cool. Here we go, guys. So I'm going to randomly select one person. Close my eyes. Bing, bang, boom. And the winner is Corey Buchan. Corey Buchan. Corey is the big winner of the $100 today. And he just enrolled in the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. So that's like a $100 rebate. You're welcome. Congratulations. Corey, here's all you got to do. I think we're connected on Facebook. If not, connect with me on Facebook and just send me your full name, send me your PayPal email address, and that you won the podcast subscribe $100 giveaway. Okay? Podcast subscribe $100 giveaway. All right? So if you do that, I'm going to send you the $100, right? And I will PayPal it to you as soon as I get your details. Within 24 to 48 hours, I'll send you the money. Congratulations. Thank you, everybody, for playing along. Truly appreciate it. If for some reason you didn't win this week, come back next week. I do these giveaways every week. Sometimes I do a shirt, the Freightpreneur, someone who solves problems you can't understand, and someone who solves problems you don't know you have in ways you can't understand. Wow, I got some real synapses like loose today in my brain. But yeah, so let's jump in. Congratulations, Corey. Thank you so much. And let's jump into Q&A. All right. So if you have questions, specific questions, all right, Quentin, talking about double brokering is not specific. I need you to be specific. What is your question? Do you need to know what is double brokering? Do you need to know, what do you want to know about double brokering, right? Or other people. I mean, Quentin just happened to type that, but be specific with your questions and I will do my absolute best to try to answer them. All right. Okay. So, hi, Dennis. I called the prospect and he said they do only labor work. They import pipes and the vendor is responsible for shipping. Can I convince him to check if his vendor provides with relevant transport costs? Because if the transportation costs are too high, the vendor might pass these costs on to him, which makes his company less competitive. Have you ever been successful in persuading a prospect in handling transportation by himself, which eventually means by you? Because it might. Okay, so the question here is this. So he called a shipper or he called a manufacturer, right? I called the prospect. He said they only do labor work. They import pipes. Okay, so they're like a contractor and they do some sort of pipes, right? They do some sort of piping, right? Contract piping work of some sort. I don't know the details, but, and so what he's saying is that he buys the pipes from a pipe company that makes the pipes. And he doesn't control the shipping on those pipes. When he buys the pipes, he gets a delivered pricing, which includes transportation. Okay. So that's what he's saying. I want you to understand that. So he does not control the shipping. He doesn't control the vendor. He gets what's an all-in price for his pipe. For every 100 pounds or 1,000 pounds or number of pieces or order, he gets a dollar amount, but he doesn't have to go out and find a broker or carrier. The actual person he's buying it from handles that. So his question is, can you talk that prospect into asking his supplier to provide him pricing without freight so that he can control his own freight, thus possibly saving some money? Now, I love where your brain is, and it is possible. But what you have to also understand is that it might be possible for him to ask, but it might not be possible for the supplier to do it, because when a supplier delivers that, their whole pricing structure, they may give you pricing that's what's called FOB origin, right? But if they're importing those pipes from overseas, that's a very complex move, right? And so I'm not sure if the shipper is going to want to handle that. Possibly they would. It'd be different if the piping was coming from 500 miles away, but this piping sounds like it's coming from overseas. But let's set that aside for a minute and just think about the whole concept. So if a shipper tells you that they are customer routed, which means that the customer that's buying from them is providing the shipping, or if the supplier that they are buying from is providing the shipping and they don't control it, can you plant a seed of doubt in that shipper's brain or in that prospect's brain to get them to think about and to do some research on whether they could save money and be more competitive by controlling their freight? I think you can. I think it's worth a try. I definitely don't think it's going to work all the time, and it's kind of a slow boat to China. And I don't think it's necessarily a guarantee you're going to get the business, but I do think you'd have a leg up if they did do that, because you provided the value of helping them navigate that. So yeah, I think it's a good question. It's a little bit complex. And for some of you that are newer to this, it might be confusing. Don't let this confuse you. It's not something you need to absolutely understand right now. Okay, so Quentin says, what is double? Yes, what is it and how not to double broker? Okay, so double brokering is when a freight broker, now there's lots of forms of this, okay, but I'm going to give you from the freight broker's perspective. When a freight broker gets a load from a shipper, and then he posts that load to a load board, typically, and then he finds a carrier that he probably hasn't done business with before, and they agree to move the load, right? Everything's lined up. They exchange paperwork, contract, all that. And that broker thinks that carrier A, which is, let's say this is the carrier that we've negotiated with, is going to be moving the freight. So we do the rate confirmation, we do everything. And then that carrier then rebrokers that load to another carrier without the broker's authorization. All right. So I broker to a carrier, the carrier then rebrokers it to another carrier on a different MC number, okay, without my authorization. That is double brokering. So it's the unauthorized rebrokering of a load from a freight broker to a carrier to another carrier. So it's a daisy chain effect. It's a very bad business practice. It's very unethical. But some people just don't care. And so that is what double brokering is. So the number one way you can prevent double brokering is to do business with carriers that you've already done business with before, right? Is to have vetted carriers that you trust and to use them to move your freight because they are less likely to double broker the load. Matter of fact, I never in the $200 million in the 20 years that I've been in the industry, I've never heard of a carrier that a broker had done business, any significant amount of business with, that then later double brokered a load to them. It's always a new carrier. So what you have to do is when it is a new carrier that you've never done business with before, you have to vet them. And, you obviously got to check and make sure their authority is active. And the newer their authority is, the more likely you'll be double brokered. That's just the reality. Okay. You have to check and make sure they have the proper insurance. You have to check and make sure that all the addresses and phone numbers and emails and everything line up, whatever is on the FMCSA website versus whatever they put on the contract versus whatever number you're calling. One of the easiest ways to do that is, sometimes people that are on the phone will misrepresent themselves that they're with a company, an established company, and they're running under their MC. And so, but they're calling from a different number. So what you might want to do is call the corporate office. So let's say it's ABC Trucking, and this guy's not calling from the main number of ABC Trucking. What you can do is just call ABC Trucking and ask if this person with this phone number, with this name, is a part of their organization. And that in many cases will just stop it in its tracks because ABC Trucking is going to say, we don't know this guy. And we're saying, listen, he's representing that he's got trucks under your MC and he's trying to book a load with me. And they're going to be like, well, we don't know him, so don't do business with him. And that's one of the ways you can do it. So it just comes down to having a little bit of caution. There are some tools out there now that are helping brokers. I'll probably do an entire training on this, but I got to do a little bit more research. There's tools that are being developed, online software and SaaS products that are built into TMSs, as well as standalone products that will help you to better vet carriers. So I'll do a training on that in the future because I don't know the exact names and websites of those, but that should get you started. I hope that helps. Kevin, what software or app did you use to quote freight for shippers? I didn't use an app and I didn't use software. Okay, I lied. I used software as a part of the equation. So you are, as a freight broker or a freight agent, you are not going to be able to talk to a prospect and say, hey, I got a load from Buffalo to Atlanta. It's a van load. And you're going to be able to go to some software that's going to give you 100% accurate rates. It's not going to happen. I promise you, it's not going to happen. I've been in this industry too long. I know how they sell it. They sell it as these rating tools. But the fact is that a heavy majority of the time, they're going to be significantly high or significantly low. And you have to learn how to hit the sweet spot. If there is a lane that you don't understand the cost basis, because once you start running Buffalo to Atlanta on a van, once a day or once a week for the last 2 or 3 months, you know what it's going to cost you for a truck because you've done it, right? Right? Because you know the supply and demand, how many loads to how many trucks, right? And you've already run that lane. So that's easy. But when it's a new lane, what you need to do is you need to talk directly to carriers. That means you need to look at the lane history on a load board, and you need to talk to carriers. You can use those rating tools to give you a starting point or a range, but you got to remember, you're really only going to have one shot to find the sweet spot on that price. Because if you come in 30% high, they're going to laugh you out of the park. And if you come in 20% low, they might give it to you. And then the problem is you're never going to be able to cover it, right? So you got to find the sweet spot. And so that's where you use the rating tools as a baseline, and then you talk to carriers and you actually get kind of a 3 or 4 or 5 carriers that you understand what the cost basis is to go from Buffalo to Atlanta on a van. And then you use that to mark up your rate, and then you provide an all-in rate, or, whatever, line haul plus fuel, however they want. Okay. So I hope that helps. Okay, TBD says, if a shipper tells you they're bringing on new brokers next year, what could I say to them in the meantime to cause them to choose me? Well, there's nothing that you can say between now and next year to cause them to choose you other than building trust. Now, building trust does not involve beating them over the head with your club, your sales club, okay? What it involves is speaking their language, right? Whether that be the individual person. Let's say, for example, building trust with the person, building by showing that you are educated about them, about their company, about their industry, right? About the mode of transportation, about their challenges. The more educated you are, the more trust you will build. Okay. So the only thing you can do between now and then, not the only thing, but the main thing that you can do between now and then is to build trust. So that means showing that you're educated, providing them some value that other providers are not, going to visit them face to face, investing in that relationship. Because again, if they're going to bring people in January and you want to be at the top of the list, well, guess what? You got to be different than everybody else, because most brokers who heard that are just going to give them a call on January 2nd and say, hey, will you set us up? And they haven't made any investment between now and then. So I love your question. I think it's a great question. But what you need to do is you need to focus on building trust, not selling. Don't sell. Selling will alienate them from you. If you build trust, you'll be at the top of the list come January 2nd. Hope that helps. Oh, TBD says, what is the most profitable niche in your opinion, heavy haul or frozen? Well, when you talk about profit, if you're talking about dollars or percentages, right? So, it kind of varies. There's a difference there, right? There is definitely, I don't know the exact numbers, but my guess is there is more frozen freight transported in the United States than there is heavy haul. Now, I don't know that for a fact, but I'm going to assume that there are more loads of frozen freight moved in the United States than there are heavy haul loads. I think that's a pretty good bet. I don't know the ratio and I don't know the exact numbers, but that's my intuition. So from a volume perspective, there's more frozen. From a dollar value, I don't know, because you got to understand heavy haul moves could be 10,000. They could be 100,000 for one movement. Okay. I mean, it's not uncommon. If you're moving windmill turbines, or you're moving a yacht, or you're moving some crazy heavy equipment, or you're moving whatever, right? Those are very complex and they can be very high dollar value. So I don't know about gross revenue, but from a volume perspective, there's more frozen. Okay. So I'm not telling you which one to choose. I'm just simply giving you a little bit of feedback. I hope that helps. Okay. So Luis Torres says, as a new agent for a 3PL, can I use load boards to match loads to the contract carrier under this 3PL? I am heavy in international market, but see the benefits of developing my domestic business. Okay, let me read that again. As a new agent of the 3PL, can I use load boards to match loads to the contract carriers under this 3PL? I don't see why not, unless there's a policy or procedure or issue associated with that with your 3PL. You'd want to ask them, but I don't see any reason why not. If you're a 3PL, that means you have your freight brokerage authority or your freight forwarder authority, one of those two, and you can book loads and move loads domestically with truck. Yeah, sure you can. You do international, so that means you're probably doing, they're either a freight forwarder or they're working with a freight forwarder or they're an NVOCC or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I don't think it should be an issue for you to build up to have domestic business, particularly considering if you have international customers in the US that are importing goods, right? They probably have a lot of domestic trucking, right? Because it's coming in, it's got to go out. So yeah, you might be able to significantly increase your business if you focus on domestic. So I hope that helps. Quentin, as far as the double brokering, it could be giving it to an owner operator. If an owner operator then rebrokers it, then that's double brokering. Yeah. So double brokering is when a broker gives it to a carrier. An owner operator is a carrier. They have a carrier MC. If that owner operator then rebrokered it to another carrier, that could be double brokering. Yeah. That's a clarification on your earlier question. Yeah, Carrier 41 is one of those resources that you can use. Yes. There are others too. TBD, have you ever shipped freight into Mexico? Does this require a forwarder? No, it doesn't require a forwarder. It requires a customs broker. Okay. So if you are a broker who has a customer in the US who's exporting goods into Mexico, hypothetically, the truck US brings it to the border. Now that truck may have authority to go into Mexico, may not. If it doesn't have authority, if it's just you as authority, then it's going to transload those goods onto a Mexican carrier, and then that'll do the final delivery. But in the meantime, when it crosses the border, you don't need a forwarder, but what you do need is a customs broker. You don't need a customs broker, but your customer needs a customs broker. So that customer will select their customs broker that will actually just process that shipment through customs, right? They'll dot all the I's, cross all the T's when it comes to customs, which is a very complex process. But customs brokers and freight brokers are totally different. There are very few freight brokers that are customs brokers, and you don't need that. Okay. There are tons of customs brokers out there, and your customer, if they're importing goods, they already have a customer. If they're importer or exporting goods, they have a customs broker already. Okay. Okay. James asks, what TMS would you recommend? There's a lot of great TMSs out there. Okay. But the one that I know the best, the one that I recommend to my students, the one that I trust, the one that's the most innovative and is doing, has over 50 or 60,000 customers and is extremely affordable for freight brokers is freightbrokerbootcamp.com/TMS. That is not my TMS. That is Ascend TMS. Tim Hyam is the CEO of that company. I've known him for years. Great guy, super innovative. He was a freight broker. Then he built a TMS, and now he has one of the most popular TMSs out there. So go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/TMS. And if you use the coupon code FBBC, you can sign up without a credit card, and they're going to give you a bonus of a list of shippers, like a shipper list. I'm not going to give it to you. They're going to give it to you for signing up through that link. So go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/TMS. See all the details. Then when you click to enroll and set up, you can set up a free trial with no credit card, which is awesome, right? Brilliant idea on his part. A free credit card a free trial with no credit card required. And then you can always upgrade later to other services if you want, but you get free access. And then they're going to give you a shippers list, right? That's one of the things he agreed to do. You can see it on the page. All you got to do is make sure in the coupon code you put in FBBC. I would recommend all you go out and give it a try, right? Set up a free account. You don't even have to put a credit card in. I mean, how can you lose? Okay. I mean, if they don't have a customs broker, that's kind of a red flag to me. That they may not be a very sophisticated shipper. They may be a brand new shipper. Now, if they're well established and they just happen to they don't do much exporting, but they want to export now, sure, you could help them source a customs broker, sure. But if they're telling you that they're an importer exporter of a certain product and they don't have a customs broker, that's a huge red flag. Be careful. Okay. These guys might be totally legit. I just want you to be cautious. Okay. And if you feel comfortable with them and they don't have a customs broker, sure, you can help them source it. No problem. It's easy. Just jump on Google. Google knows everything. All right. Listen, I hope this helped you guys. Here's the deal, guys. I'm going to stress it one more time. If you need help with getting shippers, if you need help with sales, you can learn it. I told you today, this 100-hour rule, I believe is real. I've seen it in action. All right. It doesn't require 10,000 hours to become an expert in sales, but it does require active, deliberate practice. And part of that practice should be learning how to do it the right way. That's where the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator comes in. It is going to close tonight at midnight. You will not be able to enroll after this. And the next time I reopen this, my full plan is to double the price. Just so you know, I'm being transparent. I'm going to, my intentions are to double the price, and I won't open it for another 3 to 6 months. Now, if you get enrolled now, you get lifetime access, lifetime support. Okay? So there's multiple options on there. Check it out. Again, please don't come back to me tomorrow or the next day begging me to get in the program because you forgot, or your dog ate the URL, or you lost your credit card or whatever crap. Get enrolled tonight. It's drop dead. That's the way it's going to be. I'm excited. Everybody who's already enrolled, I'm excited to work with you. I can't wait to meet you. We're going to kick off the meeting this week. You got all the details. If you just enrolled, make sure you sign up for the live Zoom calls. That'll be inside the training. You'll get the email. You'll know where to do all that. And I can't wait to work for you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. Truly appreciate you guys taking the time for another Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. Make sure you like the stream. Make sure you share, and make sure you show up next week for another free Freight Broker Bootcamp Live training. Appreciate you being here. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you next week.